Not only will Kansas State win this Saturday against Iowa State, but they're going to make a deep enough run to where they can be seen as an at-large bid for the college football playoffs. You're going to want to hear this.
You are Locked On Kansas State, your daily podcast on the Kansas State Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Kansas State, your daily Kansas State Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Christian Rauh, and thank you so much for making Locked On Kansas State your first listen every single day. Welcome back to my everydayers. This is a fun one for you tonight. We got Jake Crain from Crain and Company joining the show. We're talking Cats, we're talking Dublin, and we're talking college football playoffs. Jake Crain from Crain and Company joining me right here on Locked On Kansas State. He's got some good things to talk about the Cats, and I had to get him on because, of course, we are, as of right now, Jake, we are probably less than 36 hours away from this game in Dublin. College football is finally here, and it's not a full week one slate, but we're getting a top 25 matchup to begin the season.
Yeah, well, first off, Christian, thanks for having me, buddy. You do a great job. Locked On does a fantastic job. I've gone on a lot of Locked On shows. It's actually my first Big 12 Locked On show that I've gone on, and there's not a better place than Kansas State. Y'all are as nuts about football as we are down here. But yeah, I mean, at this point, my body's so ready. I mean, just put it in a bucket and pour it all over me. I just can't wait. I'm not just stopping with Iowa State, Kansas State, but to me, it's like such a routine of a Saturday on what I do with college football. I'm excited about Stanford, Hawaii. I'm excited about Fresno State, Kansas. Got a bunch of bets out there. So yeah, I'm excited to get it going. And I tell you, man, I've got a lot of respect for this Kansas State team, and I like the makeup of this team, and that's why I've been high on them.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on some bets and maybe some over-unders real quick on that in just a minute. But you have come out with your predictions for this game for Dublin on Monday over on your show, Crain and Company. You do a great job. I don't think I have to explain that on here. But if you don't know about it, check it out on YouTube or anywhere you listen to audios. It'll also be in the show link in the episode description below. And you put out it and you believe in the Cats. It sounds like you believe that Kansas State's going to win this game against Iowa State. That's could be a surprise to some. Iowa State's won 3 of the last 4. They were in the Big 12 championship game last year. What makes you think that Kansas State can get this done and start off 1-0 in arguably one of the toughest ways to start your season?
Yeah, well, first off, and we talk about this on the show all the time. You know, I played and coached for a long time. David Cohn played quarterback at Michigan. My brother played with Austin Eckler at Western Colorado and coached for a while. What has happened in the past has no bearing on what is going to happen in this game. Like, that's not why I'm one of these, trends during a season. You can look at them, but stuff that happened last year or the year before, because if you ever played or coached at a high enough level, every year is different. You may return a lot of guys, but there's still some turnover. The schedule is different. The coaching staff is probably different. So I don't care what the record between Iowa State and Kansas State is for the last 3 years, just like I don't care what the score was between them in 1997 or whatever. It has about the same bearing on it. So I never look at anything like that. I look at the circumstance and the context of what Kansas State has right now. And to be honest with you, Christian, most teams lose games, they don't win them. That's why football is the art of playing clean. And yes, you want to dominate your opponent. Yes, you want to play perfectly. But if you play a game of, and I'm not saying be conservative, but let them make the mistakes from a penalty standpoint, turnover standpoint, field position standpoint, you are going to win most, if not all, of the games you play in. So when I look at this, of what Iowa State doesn't have that they had last year with the 2 wide receivers, obviously Noel and Higgins, and Rocco Betts still was a 53% completion percentage, 59% complete. It was under 60, which isn't great. I know he threw for 300 or 3,500 yards and had 25 touchdowns. I don't think Iowa State has the weapons to not take chances and beat Kansas State. I feel like, and look, I know Iowa State had walk-ons at linebacker last year, and like I told all the Iowa State fans, there's 3 levels of defense, right? If your defensive line is good enough, they can make up a little bit for struggling at linebacker. Sometimes you got to put another safety in the box. So when I look at the way this Iowa State team is constructed, and I like Dominique Orange, I think he's a first-day NFL guy. He's really talented. But I don't think they have the dudes around them with this Kansas State offensive line and the 3-headed monster. And I don't know why in the world I'm the only person from a national perspective to talk about Joe Jackson at Kansas State. Everybody stops at Dylan Edwards. They just stop. And what I like about both the backs is, yes, they're dynamic in the ground game, but I think catching the ball out of the backfield and the things you can do off play action with Avery, off sprint out with Avery, throwing a check down and still being dangerous with Avery, which he needs to do this year. I think you got multiple guys that can do it. So I expect Avery to improve as a passer. I expect him to make better decisions from the pocket, but I also expect Kansas State to go in this game and say we are going to run the ball more than in the past against an Iowa State, because when you look at the triple option, the zone read stuff, the amount of weapons that Kansas State can attack you with, and I'm not talking about J.C. Brown or any of the guys on the outside. I just feel like Kansas State can line up and beat Iowa State and not have to take those chances through the air that lead to turnovers, or at least led to some last year with Avery.
Oh, certified ball knower Jake Crain joined the show here talking Kansas State. You brought Joe Jackson up. Absolutely love that, because he doesn't get talked about enough, and not many people talk about him, but he's had more of a you can tell that he has more of a volume thing that's going to happen this year with the fact that DJ Giddens is no longer there. Dylan Edwards is going to be the running back one, and he's explosive and he's excited, and there's a lot of excitement for him to be that guy. But I don't know if he's going to always be in the backfield. I think we're going to see him in the slot. Yeah. We're going to see him making some more exciting plays. I mean, he exploded in the Rape Bowl against Rutgers in bowl season last year. I can't wait to see what he does against this Iowa State team. You mentioned it, and I get it in my comments all the time too, that the linebackers were injured. That's the only reason they couldn't stop the run last year. I don't know if you're going to be able to stop Dylan Edwards. I really don't. And Avery Johnson this year, I don't know if you've seen it from the offseason pictures, but he's bigger, but he's also faster. Joined the 23-mile-an-hour club this year. Absolutely electric.
That must be nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wish I could run 23 miles an hour. And we got to probably cut that in half for me to make that completely honest. But hey, Jake, when you're traveling to Dublin, though, of course, you're playing a Big 12 opponent. It's not an FCS cupcake, if you will. You're playing a Big 12 rival on the road to begin your season a week earlier than most, too. And then there's a whole international change to this. What do you think is the biggest difficulties for both teams to really have to deal with this Dublin game? What have you seen in the past from like the Nebraskas, Northwesterns, Georgia Techs that have fell into this that maybe we might see be an issue in this game on Saturday?
Well, first games are always tricky because, again, there are new parts. There are, you haven't proven it to yourself yet. That's why, the biggest jump teams typically make are from week 1 to week 2, because you actually have tape against an opponent to go off of, as opposed to guessing. You think you have this, you've seen this in practice, but guys on defense are playing the play. So first games are tough in general, especially with new coordinators, because that game, calling plays in a game and running plays in a game are totally different than in practice, where you can just start over and do it again, or you've got to be set, or you've got to motion him here. But I think that probably the most difficult part, and this is where the director of ops comes in, is trying to make it as routine or as normal as possible when you're looking at how you go on the road and play. Because it's one thing to go and play a couple states over. It's one thing to get on a plane and fly for 3 hours and land and play. It's another thing to go across the world, to go to Europe, and you have guys that have never been to Europe. So you've got new experiences. I mean, heck, me and my wife just got back from Ireland. We were in Dublin, and I can't imagine. I was trying to make sure I made it back to the hotel at night and didn't stumble and fall down somewhere, let alone be able to line up and play a football game. So it's whatever team is mature enough to understand the right way to prepare, whichever team is mature enough to understand this is a business trip. This is not a vacation. You are going out there to beat Iowa State's face in. That's what you're going out there to do. Not go see castles, not go find a leprechaun, not go see how much Guinness and potatoes and stew you can drink. You're on a mission to start out 1-0. And when you look at Kansas State's schedule, especially with what I have them going, they need this win if they're going to do the things that I think they can do, not only in the Big 12, but in the college football playoff as well.
Does Guinness taste as good in Ireland? I heard it tasted better over there than it does here.
Look, I drank some Guinness over here first, and I'm not a big Guinness drinker. And then I purposely drank it the day before we flew out. I got to Ireland, landed, drank it over there. It's totally different. They told me the reason is it's not pasteurized in Ireland. It's pasteurized over here. But I'll give you a hint. If you're going over to Ireland, Guinness is not the best stout to drink. It's Murphy's. Just everybody's going to order a Guinness. trust me on this one. Go with the Murphys. You'll thank me later. Great football takes,
Oh,
great beer takes, total package.
I love that. I love that. Bringing that content to the show. Absolutely. And you
Drink
said you got
responsibly.
Kansas. Oh, of course, absolutely. So you got Kansas State winning this game. I've heard it on the show on Monday. You talked about it. The spread is really sticking the same. The over-unders are sticking the same. I want to get your thoughts on that. And you have something really impressive to talk about the future of your prediction of the college football playoffs. You're kind of in tandem with me about what you think about the Big 12 this year. I want to get your thoughts right next, right here on Locked On Kansas State. Hey, we'll be right back with more with Jake Crain from Crain and Company right here on Locked On Kansas State. But first, this episode is brought to you by Rougiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, maybe even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond that usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet Ready. Rougiet Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow, unlike the unusual pills that can take hours. Rougiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue, kicks in fast, on average in just 15 minutes, and effects can last up to 36 hours. So you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. I love that it's completely online as well. Rougiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly right to your door. So head to Rougiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege, all one word, to get 15% off today. That's Rougiet, RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege, promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit Rougiet website for full safety information. This episode's also brought to you by OpenPhone. If you're a person running a business, every missed call is money. We all know that. And if you miss a missed call, those people are going to go somewhere else. You got to use OpenPhone so you never miss an opportunity to connect with customers. It's a #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer satisfaction. It uses the latest technology, including AI, to help you handle after-hours calls, answers common questions, and capture leads so you don't miss a single moment, and you don't have to be waiting around the phone for 24 hours. 20% off for your first 6 months. That's exactly what OpenPhone is giving Locked On listeners at openphone.com/LockedOnCollege. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnCollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. OpenPhone, no missed calls and no missed customers. And finally, today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason's already heating up, and college football isn't far behind. So whether you got your eye on big name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. Remember, Avery Johnson's the max discount this week. Max discount if you want to think he goes over a half passing yard, which he absolutely will, folks. You can put that in your Prize Picks and pick more or less for 2 to 6 players, and you can win up to 2,000 times your cash. So download Prize Picks today. Use code LockedOnCollege and get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. That's code LockedOnCollege to get $50 in lineups after that first $5 play. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, back here with Jake Crain and Company, and we're talking the Cats, of course, the Kansas State-Iowa State game on Saturday. So much fun, and here we go. Hey, 3.5-point spread is what we got this game right now, according to our friends at FanDuel. Kansas State's the favorite. When you see a 3-point spread, you think it's almost like pretty even. When I think of one, if I didn't know this game was in Dublin, I think you're just handing it to them because the game's at home. But the over-under is the impressive thing to me, the interesting part. It's moved up to 50.5. It was sitting at 49.5 for most of the week. I lean towards the over here, but with the whole international ties, what do you think?
Well, first off, I'm hoping that gets bet down to K-State -2.5. If not, I'll go ahead and buy it down because I do feel like it is a pick 'em, and it's a great point you make about the home team. They typically give them a field goal even if they think it's even. I do think this will get bet down. I think it'll be 2.5. I'm going to wait until Saturday morning. If I got to buy it down, or God forbid it goes up to 4.5, I won't touch it. But if I can get it at 2.5, I'm going to take it. I do like Kansas State in the game. Again, we did our preview and prediction of best bet. But I tell you, I hope they keep buying the over up. Keep buying the over up. Keep looking at Rocco Beck. Keep looking at Avery Johnson. They're going to do the same thing Texas, Ohio State. They're going to see Arch. They're going to see Jeremiah Smith over there. They're going to think points, points, points. First game, new country, big moment, Big 12 game. I think you're going to get a decent amount of conservative play. I think both teams, when you look at Hansen and Sama over for Iowa State, now not having those two big-time wide receivers, I think you're going to get a little bit more dose of the run game. I like Kansas State's matchup, their offensive line versus Iowa State's front seven, and that three-headed monster. I think you're going to see Dylan, Avery, and Joe out there at the same time, probably motion one of those out to create that dual back set or keep them in there and give you that triple option look. But with the new clock rules in college football, I like the under. This game to me, the score in my head that I have, I like 27-20. That's kind of how I feel. 27-23, which would get you that with the 50.5, which is why that's big. But I wouldn't be surprised if this one was 51.5. I like Kansas State -2.5. -3, I mean, I guess a push is fine. It's not a loss, but I'm not playing for pushes. So give me Kansas State and give me the under. I'm going to go opposite of you here, Christian.
27-20, 27-23. That would fall in line with the last 3 or 4 Farmageddons where it's always been a one-score game with these two teams. Do you see it being that close this entire time? Do you think there's an opportunity that this could be a blowout? I sure hope not, because it's week 0, and I think it'd be good for the Big 12 brand if this was a slobber knocker.
Well, again, it being the first game, I think the odds of a blowout are low. I mean, you really never know. But, at the end of the day, when I look at the matchup, the personnel, and the way they're going to go about play calling in this game, I don't know if it's going to lead to a blowout. Because again, and if the rain stays, and believe me, it rains over there. Best believe it rains. If it starts raining a lot, you're really going to see some ground game, which is going to eat that clock, which, at the end of the day doesn't lead to a blowout. What I do think you're going to see is that Kansas State's up 27-17 with about 5-6 minutes to go. Iowa State will go down and score, whether that's a field goal to make it 27-20 or a touchdown to make it 27-24. I hope that's not the case if I got it at 50.5 and the under. And then Kansas State will end up getting enough first downs and being able to knee it out and win the game. So I wouldn't be shocked if Kansas State was up by 10 in the fourth and Iowa State scored to make it close late, and then Kansas State ended up sitting on the ball and getting the win. That's kind of the way I see it going down.
On your show tonight, you had it there. Check it out over there. But you talked about your college football playoff predictions. And the reason I'm bringing it up here is because Kansas State popped up on your predictions in there. But of course, they went 1-0 to start the season in your predictions. You have them going 11-1 on the season, a little higher than my expectations. I have them at 10-2. Where are you thinking that they lose that game? And 11-1 is good enough for the college football playoffs. But another thought here, another teaser, you don't have them winning the Big 12 championship game.
No, I have Kansas State going 11-1. I have them losing to Utah during the regular season and then losing to Utah again in the Big 12 championship game. Now, I have two Big 12 teams in the college football playoff, which I may be the only one. So I actually have Utah and Kansas. I have Utah losing at Baylor. So I have Utah and Kansas State both 11-1 playing in the Big 12 title game. Utah beating Kansas State, but Kansas State still getting in at 11-2 because I don't think the committee is going to punish a team with 11 wins for losing a conference championship game in the Power Four. So I actually have Kansas State playing Penn State in the first round, going to Penn State, who I got 10-2 in the Big Ten, and losing that game. But at the end of the day, I think K-State fans would be happy with an 11-3 season and a berth in the college football playoff with Avery coming back for another year.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think the goal is to make it to Arlington. And of course, if you win the Big 12 championship, you're guaranteed in. But hey, if you make it to Arlington and still be an at-large bid, that's huge. My prediction was 10-2, and I'm in agreement with you with the Utah loss. I think that end road streak in Stillwater and in Utah, those last 2 road games, that's a tough little run there, even though both those teams weren't so great last year. I also did have the loss against Baylor earlier in the season in Waco, so pretty cool that you have that as a win. I like your prediction better than mine, 11-1. I'll take that on the season. Jake, this is going to be a fun year. I am so stoked about it. I mean, there is a lot of things you took. So you had, of course, Kansas State losing in the first round. You You feeling good about the Big Ten, the SEC? What are you feeling good about? Who maybe to be the national champion? Should I maybe save that for your show to go check it out?
Well, look, I don't want to. You can go see who I have winning it, but I will say, if you know where I'm from, there's going to be a lot of people that are pissed off by who I picked to win the whole thing. I will say I've got 4 from the SEC, I've got 4 from the Big Ten, I've got 2 from the Big 12, I've got 1 from the ACC, and my group of 5 is UNLV, who I think is going to be a problem this year. With Dan Mullen in year 1, I like what they have at quarterback. So yeah, go check out our stuff on Crain and Company, and we're going to dial it up. We got a full breakdown on Kansas State, Iowa State that people are going to want to watch too if you're watching this.
Love it. Yeah, definitely check it out. I'll put both the episodes of the college football prediction and their Dublin prediction in the show notes below. Crain and Company, you can find it anywhere you listen on YouTube, audio. And Drake, you're active on Twitter X's too. You're always talking social media. So where can everyone find you?
Yeah, it's easy. It's Crain and Company on YouTube, Crainn Company. We talk Big 12 as well. On X, it's my name, @JakeCrain_. You can find us at Crain Company too. That's our show handle. And we love ball like y'all love it.
Love it. We are just hours away now. Not even really weeks, days. It's hours, less than 36 hours until we get kickoff for this college football season. Jake, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate this. Got to have you on again soon, especially if that 11-1 prediction comes true. I'm going to definitely have to call
if it 11-1 comes true, I'm crashing the show anyway. So you might as well have me back. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. You do a heck of a job, and anytime you need me, just let me know.
I love it. Appreciate it. Please like the video. Please subscribe. This has been Locked On Kansas State.